In this video, I'm going to be discussing evaluating sources. In the previous module in the course, I introduced you to the CRAAP test. It was in our research, Some Sources Are Better Than Others chapter that we read. And the CRAAP test is just a way of evaluating sources. The reason we need to do this is because most of you will be doing your research on the internet, and the internet will tell you just about anything you want to hear. When I went to school, or when I was taking English 101 and 102, it was pretty easy. I had to go to the library, I'd search for the source, I have to read the source, and right away I knew that the sources were going to be credible because I had to go to the library. The library vetted all those sources, they made sure they were credible. They were books, they were journals, they were magazines, they were just right there for me, but I had to do a little bit of work to get to the library. For you, you can just log onto the internet, you can put in the search terms into Google, and it will take you to something. But the question becomes, is that a good source? Just because it says what you want to put in your paper doesn't mean it's a good source. So the CRAAP test kind of runs you through a system of thinking about the sources you put into your paper because they are the voices you're aligning yourself with. When you were growing up, your parents might have said, people associate you with the people who you hang out with. So if you hang out with bad people, people assume you're a bad person. The logic behind that might not be true, but it is kind of a way that we think about things. Same thing with your sources. You are aligning yourself with voices in this paper, so you want to make sure they're credible. And that starts with currency. Is the information recent? You don't want information that's old or outdated. You want to try to get stuff that is as recent as you can. Relevance, important to what you need. This is really a big point for us. You're going to establish a point in your topic sentence, and from there, the evidence needs to relate to that. Not something that's still on the topic but not directly related to your point, but has to be directly related to the point you're trying to establish. Another part of that, the authority. Is it reliable? Who's the author? Who's the publisher? Who's the source? All those things matter. If you have a source that doesn't have an author on it, I'm not saying you shouldn't use it. You have to research your research. Go around, do a little bit of searching, see if you can find more information on there to verify that the information is in fact correct. Accuracy. Is it true? Is there information there? Is there evidence in that source? Can you track back to the evidence? What you'll find a lot of the times these internet sources is that you will be able to click on a source and it may not be very credible based on the appearance of it or how it's kind of constructed, but they do link in very good sources. My suggestion to you would be link to the good sources, read them, and cite them instead of the kind of generic, big, amorphous site that just kind of throws everything in there. You find a lot of those pro-con websites that I'm not going to want you to cite in your papers, but will often link to very credible sources. So do the extra legwork, 1 or 2 clicks away, find the better source. And the purpose. Why was it written? Was it written to inform people, to sell something, to entertain? You really want to be thinking about that, especially with the sources that come from organizations, because organizations have a biased perspective. Again, bias not being bad, bias is just a reality. We all have certain ways of viewing information. So you want to make sure the information you have is not necessarily objective, but you are knowing the ideas you're putting into your paper. So let's go back and look at this sample paper we've been looking at. And for this video, I'm just going to look at the works cited page, even though we're going to get to works cited in another video down the road. As we go through and look at this, opensecrets.org, that's an organization. This person is going to want to check to make sure that the sources are credible. As far as looking at the timeliness, this article, this paper I'm showing you is a little bit older. It's from, I think, 2016. So 2016, they're still within the ballpark looking at 2013 and 2015. Centers for Disease Control, Nobel Prize winner, Nobel Media, HumaneSociety.org. Again, another organization, have to check for the bias. Environmental Health Perspectives, a journal. The Lancet, a medical journal. Here we have some general reporting from Arkansas Business. It can be credible. Feedstuffs, a journal related to agricultural issues. Another article from that same source. And then the Christian Science Monitor, just the source that's telling you about the reporting on the issue. So just looking at these sources, they start to have an appearance that you can see as credible in some ways. I got these from, this author got these from the library databases, so they will be a little more credible. The Feedstuff article right here. If you don't know anything about Feedstuff, you can click on it. It will tell you about the source. Here, this article from the Environmental Health Perspectives Journal. This author, Sharon Levy. Maybe you don't know anything about Sharon Levy. So what do you do to make sure she's a credible source? Do a little bit of research. You Google Sharon Levy. You find out about her. You find out that she has a background in scientific writing, that she has a background in science and lab work. That's a person you want to put in your paper. You go out and you look at the person who invented penicillin, and you look at the speech he gave when he won the Nobel Prize, and you read it and you figure out that he even had concerns about antibiotics. That lets you know that's a credible source you might be able to cite. We go into this Roxanne Nelson article. FDA action on antibiotics could still have loopholes. Maybe you don't know anything about Roxanne Nelson, so what do? You Google her. You find some information out about her. You realize she's a nurse. She's been writing about these science issues for a long time. So this is going to be what you want to think about when you are starting to put your paper together and thinking about the sources to put into your paper. It's not just about finding it and putting it in. That's easy. But the question becomes, is your audience going to accept these pieces of information you're putting in? Are they credible? Are they recent? That's what you want to be thinking about. Just because it supports your point doesn't mean it should be in your paper.